Mentors for Military coming at you at 15 Perry Street with my sidekick, Paul Martinez.
Hey, everybody.
And I've got also, Kelly is back with us, Kelly Roby, who was on the podcast, who's actually already been a co-host on one show. Now this is the second. You're becoming a regular here.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for, yeah.
You'll be a card-carrying member here for too long.
I like it.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll have to work that in. So we have Chris Dutch. You go by Dutch.
Yep.
And Moyer.
Yep.
Chris Dutch Moyer,
Or, Dutch Chris Moyer.
Chris,
However you figure it.
that we're gonna get into your story, and like most people who come on the show, one of the things that we want to ask is, what made you join the service in the first place? What led you to that decision?
That's a great question. I think that for me personally, I always wanted to fight. One, I always wanted to. I had this desire to always want to be in the military, always. From the very beginning, I would show my dad books on armored warfare, aircraft. I was a big fan of aircraft a long time. And one particular time I showed him this, open up this plane book, and I have a Ju-87 Stuka dive bomber, in its full color glory, with a snake painted from the nacelle all the way down to the tail. And I said, look how beautiful that is. And my dad says, it's not beautiful, son. It's a war machine. And but I loved it. I loved everything about it.
Was he former military himself?
No, he was not. He was a tough guy. He is a tough guy. He's just a plugger, He's a stout dude who blue-collar worker, constantly working. But, I always wanted to, whether it was looking at the plane books or the armor books, it was reading history, playing in the sandbox with tanks.
Yeah.
I used to build the Tamiya tanks, 135th scale, right? And then I would, create blast holes in them and try to get, I did dioramas and crap like that. And, I played war games. Avalon Hill, I don't know if you know that name at all. Avalon Hill was a box board game, and it dealt with real things. It did the whole Stalingrad piece. It did. It was first I ever played Avalon Hill games. It was Germans versus Russians, and then there was Germans and Americans, and then there was all kinds of different scenarios. Now, every one of them that you could do the scenarios, of course, but they were all based on factual events. So forever that I can remember, right? The big man put me on this earth to do it. So.
And then, were you like in high school when you decided to join?
Oh yeah, I decided to join when I was 13, probably.
Yeah.
And my mom and dad always knew that I was going to join the service. So
Did you know which branch? Or?
Yeah. I wanted to be an armored crewman. I wanted to be.
Did you really?
I wanted to be in a tank.
Hey, that my kind of guy. 19 Zulu here. So
Zulu. I was a 19 Echo.
Well, I started off as a Foxtrot. Do you remember that?
Fox.
Okay, I'm really showing my age. Never mind. Forget that whole thing. I'm going to edit it out.
Well, what was the tank?
Tank driver, M60A1.
I'm 19 Echo, M60A1, and A3.
Yep.
Armor crewman.
And M1.
And M1.
Yeah.
I did all of them.
Yeah. Same here. Get out.
Boom.
That's pretty cool.
Were you ever in the Cav too?
My first assignments were 1st of the 9th Cav in Fort Hood, Texas. 1st Cav.
Okay. I was in 1st and 11th ACR over in Germany.
Huh.
That was my first Cav. So I'm sorry. Getting way off. We're having a bro fest here.
It's all good.
The armor guys got to get some love sometimes too.
Yeah.
It's a shitty life.
It is
horrible. I did 4 years, and I said, "This is the dumbest thing I've ever done. Let me get the hell out."
Yeah, I did too.
Why? What was so shitty about it?
Leadership's terrible. Okay. It was Army in the 80s.
Yes,
so
same here.
Drug use, alcohol use. It was poor leadership. And I was like, this is ridiculous. You people are horrible here. I didn't, and I was stupid too. I didn't know anything about the Rangers. So, I didn't know anything about Special Forces,
Yeah, I did.
What about Special Forces? Fuck Special Forces. Yeah, reference?
Yeah.
The Ranger video, right?
Yeah. The Ranger School video.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
You don't know this one?
You want to go to Ranger School? Yeah. You don't know it?
No.
Oh, my Lord. You need to watch it.
We'll cue it up after this. Yeah, it's hilarious.
It was the photograph of that dude. It was a Navy guy, though. The photograph was a Navy guy from when they attacked Karzai, right? It was he was on PSD or something. Yeah, and he had his shirt on his head no shirt on his head. Yeah, big beard, little gut sticking out. Yeah,
Yes, that's right.
terrible.
I do remember that.
Terrible
Yeah.
view of the Navy.
I got to
SEALs.
see this. Then
It was a flopperator picture. Somebody that got like a.
I mean, we can all be caught in bad times, in bad photographs.
but wait, are you saying they had a Navy SEAL playing a Ranger?
No.
Okay,
No,
maybe
so-
I misunderstood.
No, it's a parody video.
Oh, okay.
It's a parody, and would you call it a parody? So it's a video about you want to be tough, you need to be, you go to Ranger School, and it's got all these cool, ridiculous, funny inputs into this little, video, right? But one is, guy says, "What about special forces?" And it's a picture of a dude. This dude was a PSD on Karzai's PSD, and that was that's a bomb magnet right there. So he was a Navy SEAL guy. And the picture was compromising him. And they did a firefight or something. Something happened. He took his shirt off and he wrapped it around his head like a turban. And, he just looks dopey.
Yeah, he didn't look cool.
No, it's just a compromising, dopey picture. So they put it in there. And it's funny as all get out.
It is hilarious.
All right, we'll have to check it out. You'll have to educate me.
Yeah.
Oh,
I just only recently watched the Bobs. We just talked about this. And
you will. I'm telling you, if you don't laugh when you see the Ranger School video, something's wrong with you.
Yeah. They need to use it as a recruiting tool.
Yeah.
It's really, really good.
It's really good.
Yeah.
So after
you get
4
free
years,
tomahawks.
after 4 years, did you re-enlist?
After 4 years, so we're going in a convoluted way talking about my history, but after 4 years, I said, this is stupid. I get out and I become became a laborer for United Parcel Service. I was a supervisor after that because I thought, well, this is dumb. Why would you want to be a supervisor and fight the unions? I was in that's a whole other story, rabbit hole you can go down to. And then I did National Guard work, and I was like, I really miss it. I want to get deeper into this thing, and I miss the camaraderie. I miss being a soldier. And before Desert Storm came back, I said, well, I'm gonna rejoin the Army. But it was an interesting time because the Army wasn't taking anybody. There was the BEAR program, which I don't remember what that acronym stands for anymore, but you could keep your rank. So I was staff sergeant.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go back, and I couldn't. You couldn't go back. And then one recruiter says, yeah, you can be. I said, I want to go back. I want to go to the infantry/Rangers. And he said, oh yeah, we can do that. But here's the thing. You can either be a cook or a chaplain's assistant. I'm like, I don't.
What?
I'm not doing either one of those. So I waited. Then I started trying to get into the SF community. So I went to my National Guard station was in Ligonier, Pennsylvania, and it was an Armor National Guard unit. So then I went to, I changed. I went to 19th Special Forces Group out of Camp Dawson, West Virginia, and they lost my paperwork. And they lost my BRM and ARM. It was a very strange, convoluted story how it all happened. But in the end, I spent a very small amount of time up there, and I walked some places that later on I would walk again, and I didn't even know it. And then we went to Fort Ord, California. We did a pre-course, and I did a whole lot of more walking.
So you were assigned to 19th?
Yep, I was assigned 19th.
Okay.
And so I thought I was going to get back in the regular Army this way.
Yeah.
I'm going to get my tab and go this way.
Right, so you didn't go to SFAS or Q or nothing?
Nope. I did the pre-course out in Fort Ord. That's your 2-week, once a year thing. And then, I don't know, it all fell down.
Did they send you to airborne school even?
Nope, none of that.
So you were a leg assigned to the 19th?
Yep.
Wow. How painful was that at that time?
No, it was fun.
Is that still the barbecue period? Because there was Guard usually back then, and so it may be different today. I don't know. So back in the 80s, 90s, we used to joke because and it was true at that time period, a lot of guard units would actually just get together for their Muta 4 and barbecue. Have, at least one of those
Screw
days.
around, yeah, without a doubt. And I was like, so when I was in Ligonier with the 103rd Armored, 28th Infantry Division, right? This is a storied division, the Bloody Bucket. This is the same division that went through the Hurtgen Forest, badass. The Bloody Bucket. They call it the Bloody Bucket because the casualty rate was so high. So I was amazed at how many of those non-commissioned officers, senior non-commissioned officers, had no idea how to do tank table 7, how to do, these things that I'm like, wait a minute. Wow, I must be a genius. But no, I spent 4 years in the regular Army, and we did stuff. You guys, barbecue.
Yeah.
So you screw around. Right. You don't do much. One guy, the master gunner, man, but maybe he knew some of that, but nobody else did. So it was amazing to me, yeah.
So you go out to Fort Ord.
Yeah, it was just a 2-week thing, and you do all your tests and whatnot, and then
how did you pull the trigger and decide to, or end up getting back in? Because you said the recruiter only offered you 2 options, and you weren't taking those.
Yeah, so once, I don't know, I honestly can't remember how it happened. You have to forgive me there, but somewhere down the line, they just said, okay, now there's an opening for infantry. So I grabbed it. I was actually, at the time, I was working in Cleveland, Ohio, as a shipping supervisor at a computer company. And I went to scuba school, not Army scuba school. I went to
like Patty or now.
SSI.
That was back then.
Scuba Schools International. Right?
Yeah.
So I bought a whole bunch of kit, and then I became a diver. And got my open water cert in Lake Erie.
Yeah.
And then I jumped out of an airplane. I went to the Cleveland Parachute Center with some other dudes, and we drank a lot that night, and then we jumped out of airplanes. I'm like, well, I'm trying to do all this because this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back and do this. Mm-hmm. And then the war was kicked off.
Desert
Storm. And I'm like, man. And then sadly, though, that was a great armored.
Yeah.
That was an armored shoot fest, man. The M1s are kicking ass, right?
Yep.
And so right on CNN is a guy named Eddie Savage. I went to basic training with that motherfucker. And here I am. I'm missing everything. I'm sitting on a couch.
And he's on CNN.
Crying in my oatmeal. And my man's on CNN talking about how he smoked some tanks. I'm like, that's what I wanted to do. Damn it. How did I miss that? So, man, long story short, I finally got the infantry contract in, and more convolution. When I got the infantry, I thought I was going to have to go through basic and AIT the whole way. I was, I'm 26, 27. Came back in 26, 27 years old.
Did they leave you a rank or they drop you one?
No, I was drop one. Hell, I was a specialist. Nothing. Nothing.
Wow.
Big jump.
Yeah, big jump. So I get crushed. I get nothing. So I'm already in my head, right? I know that I am going to go through the whole process. And so I'm at the 30th AG, right? Infantry, Fort Benning, before it turns into a whatever it is now.
Sand Hill.
The weird conglomeration thing that Fort Benning is now. Before it was infantry. Now it's just everything.
Yeah, they call it.
Doesn't make any sense to me, but
what do they call it now? Come on, Paul.
Why would I know that?
When you drive through there, did you see the Roman?
Yes.
The Roman gate when you drive through there?
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I mean,
that's all new. I haven't seen it yet.
Dude, the
front
pillars
gate, in that front. Yeah, when you're driving down.
Yeah, I have seen that.
Yeah, when you're driving down 185. Coming in
where Victory Drive crosses it.
Dude, I don't like it. It's creepy to me.
It is.
It's like this kind of Romanesque.
Well, because we're not like that. They got a cab guy on a horse or whatever.
Yeah, I don't like that part as much.
Yeah, because it's cav, armor, and infantry.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we're going to get killed for this. I know we are, for not knowing what the hell the name of it is.
Name of what?
The name of what they call now the whole Fort Benning, basically.
Maneuver Center?
Maneuver Center of Excellence.
There you go. See, you do know what it is.
Burned into my brain.
MOE.
Yeah, because they took away the home of the infantry.
Or MCE, whatever. Oh, yeah. It's no longer home of the infantry, which kind of bothers me. But
again, there you go. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
No.
Well, because they moved armor out of Fort Knox. I mean,
why?
So, I don't know.
They're saving money.
It doesn't make sense.
Put quotes around that.
We're
saving money.
Yeah.
It's just a lame name.
So you come into 30th AG.
Yeah, so I grab the kids. Let's go outside. Let's go. You're going to need drill and ceremony. So I start teaching drill and ceremony in the parking lot. There's nothing else to do.
Yeah.
How many push-ups can you do? Let's go. Let's do some PT because you guys are going to have to do this, right? So we ended up doing DNC and PT and whatnot, and And one of the handlers, there's a lot of NCOs there. I don't know what they do. I think there's a basement thing. If I remember correctly, it was down below where the kids stayed. And this guy comes up and says, "Hey, come to find out there, old Dutchy boy, you are already a soldier. So since you're already a soldier, you don't have to do all this." I'm like, well, okay, fine. Then what else? What do you do there at 30th AG? You get uniforms, and you get glasses, and you get shots and haircuts and whatever else. You get all that crap. And so, and the one E5 who was one of our handlers was asking for help. He said, "You're mature. Come over here, help me, rally these cats up and do the things you got to do." So, and I'm looking at the list of people on there. Of course, I see myself on there, and it says 11 Mike. And that's mechanized, right? I go, "Hey, Sergeant, this is what I think it is. This is mechanized, right?" And he goes, "Yep." I said, No. I've already done all that. I said, "I want to be an infantryman, so I want to go to airborne. I want to eventually try to run Rangers and blah blah blah." And he said, "I think I can help you." And he took me downstairs there were some recruiters down there. One was a Ranger tabbed guy, and he says, "Yeah, we can change your contract right now." He said, "But you're gonna have to re-enlist for like 4 years right now." I go, "No. This is my second time in. I'm doing this the whole way. I'll re-enlist for 10 years right now if you want me to. If that's the thing, I want to do it." So we did. We did the contract right there, and I got a Ranger contract before I ever left. So,
but then you did that.
Yeah,
because there was a lot of guys. We've had so many on the show that talk about they got there as 11 Bravo. At least that's what they thought, and then all of a sudden it's, "Hey, you all are 11 Mikes."
X-ray. So
wherever
we want you.
Yes.
Yeah. If you've got an X-ray on your contract.
Well, it happened to you because you got picked for Charlie.
Yeah. I wasn't upset about it. I tried to join the Marine Corps. I was going to be a mortarman. Yeah, it just sounded cool. They call it a 3-mile sniper in the Marine Corps. Like one of my Marine buddies told me that. I'm like, that sounds badass. I was wrong.
That's a lie. That's a lie.
I mean, it's a cool weepon system. I'm happy I got to do it.
Oh, it's a fantastic weapon system.
I love it.
Right? Yeah.
And I'm glad I got the opportunity to do it, but it's not glamorous or sexy at all.
So especially when you're jumping out of an airplane with a base plate.
Yeah, that's not fun.
It's pretty sexy when you do some direct lay, though.
Yes.
That's pretty fun. Yeah.
I think the system itself, the mortar itself, whether it's the 82, 60, 82, or the 107, 4 deuce, whatever they call now, but it's a fantastic system, man.
Oh yeah,
that's a high angle hell. Right?
Oh yeah. No, you can't. It just adds so much to the fight.
Hell yeah.
Like you can't mess with a platoon that's got mortars.
Yep. Even one small. That's a great weapon for indirect fire. Yeah, it's fantastic.
See, he's working his magic. First, he like me with the armor. You now with the whole mortar. Doing a good job, Dutch.
Thanks, man.
So you're about 4 or 5 weeks into this whole process. Did they tell you, okay, you can just kind of set out the basic training portion of this?
No. So because the jackasses in Camp Dawson who lost all my paperwork, right? I mentioned earlier that they lost my BRM, ARM. So now I got to go back to BRM. When's BRM? BRM is in basic training.
Yeah.
So they've hurled me into an already ongoing basic training course. I'm like, whatever. I was already in for the long haul. I'm fine. Sure. I can do this. And what a trip. I'm older, more mature. I'm the specialist. The kids called me the specialist.
That's awesome.
It was a kind of a hoot. I had one drill sergeant. His senior drill sergeant was a Hispanic dude, and he was courteous. He's like, you're already a soldier. I'm not going to mess with you. As a matter of fact, we're going to try to give you your own room. But the staff sergeant, whoever his name was, "Oh, no, you're not. Oh, no, not in my world. Oh, no, you can't mess with what I got. No room for you. And oh, by the way, pretty much F you. Yeah, and he every moment he could,
he rode you.
He would jump on me. I'm like, wow, what's up with my man here? Yeah. Give me a little bone. No, and the other guy, he'd let it go. All right, F it. He let it go. So at nighttime, you had to check your lockers.
Yeah.
That was you turn and check your lockers, and you had to rattle your lock. Prepare them out to bed. Check your lockers. And you had to, and I'm like, I'm really doing this, right? I'm doing this, right? And then when the lights went out, I would go to the bathroom. My bunk was near the latrine, and I would go in there and do PT.
Yeah.
And then after I did finally get BRM and out of the way, then they pushed me to an AIT unit. So, but it was really funny. You know, I would bend my ball cap like you do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh no,
They wanted it flat.
oh they would take it off my head and stomp on it and throw it back at me, and I put it back on my head. I go,
Like Paul's.
I go, Roger that, and I put it back on, and I do it again, and it went on and on. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Dude, I remember back in the 80s, like 90s when I first got to Benny, man, the Rangers had that nice little roll. I tried to like learn how to do that, you know, with the patrol cap.
It would take a special class on it. That's probably why you couldn't figure it out.
Buy them that way.
Go down to Ranger Joe's.
KW.
Yeah, KW.
Is that what it is?
Yep.
It
Thick
was a
bill,
little-
ultra thick bill.
Yep, it was a little shop. Little shop, and they would sew your cat eyes on
The back. Yeah.
the back.
Oh, those
And
were wicked cool. There.
Yeah, my cat eyes were sewn on with dental floss because I was a Winter Ranger. Boom. Yeah,
Yep.
that was that. So, what was when finally got the AIT, and then I joined with a bunch of other dudes that were crossing over their MOSs as well. So then it was really easy. We were teaching kids at the same time we were learning infantry shit. So
That's
Yeah.
cool.
it was a lot of fun.
So then you went over and did RIP?
Yeah, so I did RIP and airborne and RIP, and I was on a roll, Kelly. I was on a roll because I was the airborne enlisted honor grad.
Nice.
I have proof. I have a thing that says so. And then I went to RIP and I became the class leader and honor grad.
Wow.
Yeah, so
That's not nothing.
I was moving on, right? I was like, yeah, this is me, baby. This is good. And I went to battalion, and I got smacked right in the pee-pee.
We don't care.
No,
None of that means anything.
And the funniest thing about that was, of course, you know, you're new kids. You're in the hallway. You're getting smoked. Everybody's getting smoked, right? You're doing starburst. You're counting the lights or whatever they make you do. Count the tiles when you're doing flutter kicks.
Yep.
And we're getting smoked, and the kids that I came with, they're falling out, really, and I'm not. And guys say, who are you? Why? You're older, and come in this room, get in here. And he drives me in the room. It's this E5. Micah Kyle was his name. He's a great guy. Pulls me in the room and goes, what the hell's wrong? What the hell's with you? What's your story?
Yeah.
You know? And then they were asking us, that's right, where they were asking us Ranger history questions when they were smoking us. And I love Ranger history, man. I'm like answering them all. I love this. He goes, how come you know all the answers? Because I paid attention. I don't know.
Because I'm supposed to.
Yeah. And then they found my uniform, they found a photograph first. They found an old
Wait, your whole file was missing, but somehow they found a photo.
Well, yeah, so I had a photograph of my kit. So somebody's, some E5, whatever, been rummaging through my stuff, and he pulls up a dress blues with E6 rank on. Well, I'm at a wedding with a friend of mine, and they take it and they put it on the hallway, and put it in the hallway. And this is this is Moyer right here. This is him. Yeah. So it was weird. But if I may, I'll go on. It goes on. So all of a sudden they're going to make me a sergeant, right? And I haven't been to Ranger school,
right?
Not yet, right? Matter of fact, I was a horrible swimmer, so I failed the swim test because it was in the cold, and I'm a horrible swimmer. I failed the 15-meter swim. I failed it, and all of a sudden though, I've been in for so long, and my longevity, the board comes up, it's coming up, but they were like, okay. They figured they would work this out. We're still going to get you to Ranger School ASAP, so we're just going to try to figure this out. And I ended up getting promoted before I get my tab. That's very unusual.
That's extreme. I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, so
that's cool.
And nobody did. I don't think anybody did. I don't know if it's an anomaly. It's a very strange thing. And then, so what happened? Nobody wanted to shake my hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure you weren't popular for that.
That was very weird. Yeah, the whole thing was weird. Then we got Haiti. We went to Haiti.
Before you went to Ranger School?
Yeah. Did Uphold Democracy in Haiti. Did all that. I prepared for Ranger School while I was there.
Now, were you at 3rd Bat?
No, first.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then going backwards, now you have, you wear your rank on your collar, the BDUs, and the sergeant's chevron is larger than a private or a specialist. It is, right?
Yeah, it stands out like a big blob. Yeah.
And then when you go to Ranger School, you cut those off.
Yeah.
But there's still a mark there.
Sure there is.
So I'm in mountains, and just to your point, nobody's heard of this guy who did this, right? Who got the E5 without as an infantryman without going to Ranger school. I'm in the mountains, and the Ranger instructor says, "Oh, you're a common guy?" "No, Sean." "Oh, you medic?" "No, Sean." His eyes get big. He goes, "Oh, you're the one."
Oh, it's already been
So your
passed.
reputation followed you there.
I'm like, holy crap!
Not the one that in a good way.
Not the one in a good way. The one that we're gonna fuck with you, bud.
Make sure you earn it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a challenge. It was fun.
So what they do? They mess with you a little bit?
No, I don't think so. I
Yeah.
really don't
You
think
probably
so.
just had to pull extra
Everybody was
support positions.
Yeah, everybody was pretty good.
So this is early 90s?
Yeah, matter of fact, my class, no, it's mid-90s, right? Because my class was a class that we lost 4 Rangers in the swamp.
Oh, really?
3 or
That was
4?
your class?
Oh, was that the one where
Was it 94,
drowned or
95?
something?
Yeah.
Yeah, they drowned.
Yeah, there's like a...
Oh my God, I remember
Kinda like a
that.
flash
I was
forward.
there.
Did you have
I was at Benning.
Did you have an instructor by the name of Dykeman?
I don't know. I don't remember.
My platoon sergeant was one of the instructors there in was it Florida Phase?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Florida.
Yeah.
He was one of the instructors there when that happened. Yeah.
Oh, so that means he had to be at least one of the RIs.
I know he was there
Yeah.
when it happened. Yeah, and then he came up to 275.
That was obviously that was a big deal.
yeah.
Huge, yeah.
It was 94. Yeah.
I had when we went down the Yellow River to get out.
I used to go fishing there all the time as a kid.
It was flooded, obviously. The whole thing was flooded. Everything was flooded. So it was cold as shit, too. It was cold, it was flooded. We get off, and our RI, who was a first bat senior non-commissioned officer, I don't remember his name. I hate it. I can't, because we had a conversation in the boat. I just don't remember his name, and I hate that part. And if you ever, when you talk about TBI or anything else, when you segue, when you go to the shed to get something, and you go, what was I doing here? What did I come here for? Keys, back pocket. That's a commercial. So we had this conversation, but every time we went to a portage point, or not a portage, but a drop-off point, he would put his RI stick in the water, and he's like, "Nah, it's too deep. It's too deep." So we went to 3. We went to 2, and he failed those 2, and he went to the 3rd, and we finally got out. Apparently the other RIs did not do that. Yeah.
Oh.
And it was bad. I remember we were putting in a position. We did our patrol, and we were digging for overnight.
Yep.
And the red star cluster went up. And then the RIs all walked over there somewhere and got together, and they were talking, and you're just digging.
Yeah.
I mean, you're being told what to do. And they came back and they said, wrap it up, get your kit, we're leaving. And, that's unusual.
Yeah.
And then hey, we're going over here to help these other cats. So that's what we did all night long.
And you went out to...
So you recovered those casualties?
Yeah. We.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah. So we had to get out there and help everybody look for people, and because they were lost.
Yeah.
And one dude I think he died in a rucksack flop. He just expired.
Hypothermia,
there.
right?
Yeah, exhaustion, hypothermia. Hypothermia had a lot to play with, but the biggest one of the things I learned about that too, and it was funny because we were walking towards wherever we were to help them out, and I was a patrol leader at the time. Or I don't know what position I had exactly, but one of the kids was like, "Where are we going?" And I'm like, "Doesn't matter."
Yeah.
Dude, it doesn't matter. There are people up there that need our help. It doesn't matter. Just shut your mouth and keep one foot in front of the other. And then where was I going to lead to? I don't know. I lost track. But it was, it was interesting. The whole thing was very interesting.
You went through the desert phase as well. Didn't you?
Yeah, we did desert too.
Yeah. Before
it was snowing in the desert.
Was it?
It was snowing in the mountains, snowing in the desert, and it was cold as shit in Florida. Yeah, it was a good class. It was cold.
Wow. Yeah, I remember that going on though in those events and stuff, because I didn't leave Benning until 95, 96 time frame, and Don Fox had just gone through. I want to say he had just gone through Ranger School right before that. Who's another co-host that comes on the show occasionally? He lives down there in Fort Benning now, but yeah, I remember that time frame very well. There are certain points that you kind of remember in history where you're at a certain thing, like for instance, being down there when the guys came back from Somalia and seeing, them all shot up and everything from Somalia and getting out. Some of them were getting medically discharged and those types of things just stand out. Moments that kind of stand out in history.
Sure.
And, wow.
That was a big deal. It never happened before. And then there's a question of like, what are you guys doing down there? Are you being safe?
Well,
Like,
there was this
anytime there's a
whole
weird accident.
major investigation that went on. What happened to the RIs? Did they ever get like?
I'm sure they got booted. I don't know. Honestly, I don't
They
remember.
go to, but they end up like getting discharged and.
I know he must have not been involved, but when he came back to our platoon, I mean, I knew that he was there during it, but I don't know.
He talked much about it or anything?
No, not really. I mean, very dispassionate about it. I mean, it happened. It was a matter of fact, and I want to say that's when they really knuckled down on counts. Anytime they departed during Ranger School.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, right. So that was, I think, the only thing I got out of it from him, besides the fact that he was there. Yeah.
I know what I was going to say too about this. So the kid that complained, how far are we going to go? And my reply is, it doesn't matter how far you go. You just go until we get there. One of the kids that died in Ruckside Flop, he was not far away from dry land. They just quit. Yeah. Whether that was the student leadership, whether it was the RI leadership, or just internal, hey, do better. Get up. Yeah. Get up. I'm giving a speech in Fort Bragg on the 17th, and I'm not really sure I know what I'm going to say, but when you look at the survival manual, the first thing in there, the book does you no good unless you have the will to survive. That's your first and foremost thing. You gotta want to go, otherwise it's useless.
Yep.
So when I talk to these kids on the 17th, it's going to be a part of it, but he just didn't want to go any farther, or nobody could cajole him, or nobody could motivate him to go further. So.
Did you end up being an honor grad out of Ranger School?
No.
Oh.
Did you tell him you were at RIP?
No. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares what you did yesterday anyway.
Yep.
It's what you do tomorrow. Today, tomorrow.
So how long did you end up staying with the regiment?
Battalion. So I stayed in battalion from 92 or 93-ish to 99. Yep. It was 6.5, almost 7 years.
It's a good ride.
It was good. It was really good. I wanted, when I got there too, I wanted to outlast all my peers.
Yeah.
That was one of my goals. I'm going to beat him. I'm going to beat him. But I didn't. But a lot of them faded away, but I didn't outlast.
Did you make 6 and 7 there?
6 there.
Okay.
And then 7 in JSOC.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what made you want to then go to different direction? Was it just you weren't being challenged enough?
No, I don't. I think it's a great life. I loved being there. I really did. I loved that kind of warfare anyway. Mm-hmm. Previously in my military career, the whole tank thing was cool and all, but it's not Rangers. Right? I need a Ranger. The history of the Rangers and the sua sponte, the motivated kids, most of them motivated, of course, but it's it's a great place to grow up. So I loved it there. But somebody said you got to go to this briefing. All NCOs got to go to this briefing. So I was like, I gotta go. So I went to the theater, went to a briefing, and I was the only dude in there. And
wait, if it was mandatory, why were you the only?
I don't know I don't know for whatever reason. That's
or maybe
what they told
were just
me.
Trying to see who was going to show up there because, of course,
Somebody told me it's mandatory. You got to go. All right, I'm going to go. So I went. And I'm like, why am I the only guy in here? That's how I remember it anyway. And I watched the video of a special mission unit, and I was like, well, that's really cool. Why wouldn't you want to do that? And then it's really as you're growing up as an NCO anyway, or as a man. How about this? Let's go to a man. You want to test your mettle. You want to see what you're made of. And to me, it was a normal professional progression to get to someplace better. Mm-hmm. And then how many other guys that are there go, oh, you quit. Oh, you're a quitter, especially the sergeant major.
Yeah. Oh, you got it from the sergeant major.
Oh, yeah. You're a quitter.
We talked about that yesterday.
I hate that.
I literally when I went, they said, you better make it. You come back, you're going to be replaced.
F you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I don't believe it happens today. I think it's maybe it's just poor leadership. Maybe it's not
that is
the standard anymore.
What's interesting, though, is it was across all of regiment, all 3 battalions at that time frame, because it doesn't matter who we've had as a guest, that in that time period, same statement.
It's not encouraged.
And it was about 50-50 when I was there. It just depended on your first line supervisor and your platoon chain of command. Like some of them would be like, yeah, go. Some would be like, Screw you, dude.
But the thing that bothers me about this is that the Abrams charter is that you're supposed to leave.
Yes.
Right? You're not supposed to stay there forever. But yet the mentality is if you leave, you're a dirtbag. Well, there's a mixed message here.
You've abandoned us.
Yeah.
Well, there's an inordinate premium that they put on loyalty in the Ranger battalions. Like I got a bunch of shit for just going over to snipers. I'm going to be in the same company. I'm just leaving mortars, and they dicked me down hard. I mean, like there was a SEER school slot we had that wasn't going to be used, but it was because it was during leave. Nobody wanted to go.
Not for you, buddy.
And I was like, I'll skip leave and go to SEER. They're like, not unless you re-enlist to be a mortarman. I'm like, I didn't enlist to be a mortarman. I have no loyalty to this platoon. Like I have loyalty to my boys. I'm going to do my job, but I have no desire to spend.
And by the way, I'm still going to be here.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I'm still going to be
Still
here.
wearing a beret, still doing the thing.
Who do you think's going to look after your 60 teams when they're in deployment and they're all alone? Like the guy from their company that was from their platoon.
Yeah.
Oh, come on,
It's just a funny thing. It's a culture thing, and I would assume it's less than that now because I know that
I think so.
even back then we weren't really working. You know, these two elements weren't really working hand in hand. Yeah. I mean, later on when I graduated on to better things, we know this is where the pipeline comes from. Guess what? People like him. We need guys like him. So let's teach them more. Let's teach them better. Let's do better things and have a better relationship with them. So.
When Brad was on, he got into the conversation. We started kind of with this, but we also kind of migrated into a conversation about when is it that you can actually be accepted as a Ranger?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Never.
Because,
when you walk away with your plank, I don't know.
But it was an interesting conversation because there are those people who, come back, especially when you go to Best Ranger, come back and they went to the school, but they never were part of battalion, or regiment. And then you have people who are part of regiment who may have only spent a year and a half, 2 years in before they said, hey, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
You have all walks of life, individuals who stayed 7 years, 15 years, but they size you up differently. Or they may, although everybody says I was a Ranger in all those categories.
Yeah.
And of course, we had a whole 4-hour discussion one time with fellow co-hosts who were from other service branches about what is a Ranger anyway, because outside of that family, you see a Ranger tab. That means, you must be a Ranger.
Nope.
Because what do they do?
Nope.
Ranger Bob calls himself a Ranger.
Nope.
Yeah, it's a touchy subject for sure, especially
How's it
the
touchy?
Ranger. And
How's it touchy?
No, outside of you and me, and outside of people that have been in battalion, there's nobody in battalion that has any conflict with what a Ranger is. I mean, that's the nature of battalion. I thought where you're going with that was people that come, maybe they didn't get their tab at battalion. To me, that's still a Ranger. If somebody, and we can agree to disagree, but I have friends that for whatever reason.
Wait, I don't want to. There's more to that though. It's a leadership school that you've achieved the Ranger tab. Okay, fine. Yeah, but if you came on board later, so you're an import, or whatever, but you still can be part of the Ranger community now that you have a scroll, and now you're living the Ranger life, the Ranger mission. So you're a Ranger.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. But I also know people that came as privates, spent 11 months, go to Ranger school, did the whole, played the game, did the Jort cycle, everything, go to school, something happens, they come back from school, RFS, gone. To me, that person that I spent time with in Panama or wherever we were, who was doing everything I was doing, didn't pass Ranger school for whatever reason, we know there's lots of reasons, that person's still a Ranger to me. Whereas there might be people in the regular military that get their tab, that's not the same as that guy who never got his tab but spent 11 months nutting it out at battalion.
Right. What about a guy that goes to battalion though, and he never goes to Ranger school, gets out or is an E4 or something, E3, E4, because he decides this isn't for him, but he played the game for 2 years.
Yeah, I think it's all about your service when you're there.
Was a Ranger.
Yeah.
Or didn't he, is like a Marine always a Marine? Even when he retires or gets out?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So he served as a Ranger, okay, fine, but he's not a Ranger anymore. So.
Well, in this individual I'm referring to that I just pointed out was, actually he doesn't refer to himself as a Ranger. He served in a unit that happened to be a Ranger battalion.
Yeah.
but he still doesn't refer to himself ever as being a Ranger.
And I would consider him, if he served successfully in battalion, a Ranger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the way I look
All
at
right,
it.
what's your measure of success then? That's different.
See?
Different rabbit hole.
That's what I mean. This is a very interesting conversation because why is it so controversial?
Well, I think because it's not easy to earn a Ranger tab.
Correct.
It's not easy at all. And the guys like
Scroll or tab?
Tab.
Right. Okay, but that's just going
It's
to
also,
school.
and equally, it's not easy to survive in battalion for any period of time.
No, the attrition rate is extremely high. So when I meet people, I'll meet veterans out there. It's especially officers, and like, I'm a Ranger. I'm like, no, you aren't. But they have their tab. I don't need to begrudge them anything. It's whatever. Like, all right, you went to your leadership school. You worked really hard to earn that, and you tell people that you were a Ranger. To the layperson, they don't know the freaking difference,
No.
and they're not going to understand our explanation of it anyhow. So I'm like, all right, man, whatever you're doing.
That's the expert
as long
on
as you're-
television, right? We have with us today an expert.
Yeah.
He former United States Army Ranger officer.
Yeah.
And then you find out, right, he went to Ranger school.
Yeah.
And he did. It's a leadership school. He got his tab. It's on the back of his pickup truck.
Yep.
And
With his air assault.
definitely
and he's not a Ranger.
No, that guy's, you're not a Ranger.
No,
You're a Ranger.
Totally agree. You're Ranger qualified.
Yeah,
That's
Ranger
it. We can call it that. Ranger
And you should
qualified so-and-so.
Good job,
Yeah,
buddy.
and you should be proud of that.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, well played.
But does it define your whole career? Is
No.
that the cap on your career? If you spent 15 years in or 20 years in, and then you got a tab, and now that's how you lead into everything?
Sometimes that is the case.
It is. That is the case that people use, but should it be?
On their website that they've created of their new company, it's Ranger Bob. And when you, like you said, you go to start investigating, you go, wait, dude was not a Ranger. He went to Ranger school,
Yeah.
but
And it depends on what he's doing too, he or she.
Yeah.
On the said website. Because there's some dudes.
This goes down
We
the beret
know.
path. If you give the Army a black beret and take it away from the Rangers, are they now all Rangers? Are they equally qualified?
They're amazing.
Right.
We didn't finish the story last night. So Shinseki said there's a bunch of amazing Rangers. We should give everybody a black beret. That'll do it. That'll make us a better army. No, it doesn't, you idiot. And so to his point, right? So, and then what is it? We're Bosnia, and I wasn't there. This is a story, a secondhand story. But they're in a car doing a thing, our guys, right? And a pregnant woman walks by with a black beret. And somebody goes, Ranger. Yeah, look at that Ranger. No.
Yeah.
The clothes do not make the man.
Different but equal, and that's what I would say. Is it's an amazing leadership school, and it was, started for a specific reason. But I think actually living in battalion, and then you can break it down even further to if you were in battalion, how good of a Ranger were you? All of that. To me, doing a cycle and spending time there and being successful and going through the BS you do as a private before you get the opportunity to even try and get your tab. The tab is just the opportunity to stay in battalion. That's all it is.
it's a rite of passage. Yeah.
No, not a
It's
rite
a
of
leader.
passage.
It's a right to become
Leadership. Keep
A
going.
leader.
Okay.
Yeah, you have
In
to go to this
battalion.
leadership school and be successful in it. Otherwise, you cannot continue to be
Correct.
a leader in Ranger Battalion.
Correct.
You have to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's all.
But it doesn't take away from the time you spent before you went to become a leader, right? So,
So is he a
shouldn't.
Ranger?
yeah, in my mind,
Yeah. Yeah. I think if you serve without your tab,
I know
you're a
guys that
Ranger.
I'm sure any battalion's got their stories, but I had a really good friend that was in weapons squad with me when we were young, and he got a DUI, got kicked out. He was honest, amazing dude. Bad luck, got kicked out. RFS.
Chris Van Sant.
I'm not going to take it. Yeah, I'm not going to take that away from a guy.
Yeah.
and that would be so hypocritical. I never got a DUI. Doesn't mean I never drove drunk, right? Those are the things that we really glaze over, and so I think he's a Ranger.
It's
100%.
funny you'd mentioned the beret thing. So I remember a time frame, especially when I got the 11th ACR. It was like 1982. So over in Fulda, Germany, and I go to one of my first NCOPDs, non-commissioned officers, professional development, and it was at the theater. All NCOs, you got to go to the theater at this time frame. So we go into the theater, and we're sitting there, and we're waiting for the thing to kick off, and all of a sudden the lights go like almost black. I'm like, what the heck is going on? The power going out or something? And all of a sudden, Rocky music starts playing. The old man goes running down, the aisle and stuff, and goes to the front of the stage and everything. He's screaming, and we can't hardly hear what the hell he's screaming. All of a sudden, the music cuts off, and he's talking about, the Epton Army taking away his black beret, and it's got this damn beret here. I fought in Vietnam. It's got commie blood on it. How dare the Army take these damn things? We're gonna get them back, man! And everybody roar and the whole thing, right? So for the whole time I was there, all they kept talking about is the Army is gonna give the Cav back their black beret. Who got them? Army Rangers.
Yeah. I don't know why we're fighting so hard over a floppy French hat that doesn't shade your eyes from the sun. It doesn't keep your head warm in the cold.
It's a terrible headgear.
It is awful. It looks cool.
So
sometimes
I actually think the tan looks way better.
I love the tan.
It does. I agree.
It's similar to the new uniform, right? I mean, it harkens to something. When I look at it, I'm like, that looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was in 19th up there, and you talk about this beret story that we've gone down. That was the time when the Green Berets were now giving support people the Green Beret.
Oh, I remember that.
Because it was a uniform question.
But there were some women.
There was a lot,
admin.
and the dudes who've been to Vietnam. Dude, my drill instructors were Vietnam.
Yeah, same here. All of them.
And now these guys, they were like Romistan and Lowe. I remember both those guys' names, and they were. And Sinclair. Sinclair was on the Sante raid. They were, and he's like, we don't wear our berets no more because everybody else gets one. It doesn't mean nothing anymore.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, so they would walk around Dawson with no headgear on at all. This was their protest.
That's awesome.
Yeah. We don't need that stupid thing anyway. He goes, it's a horrible piece of headgear anyway. It's dumb. So.
Well, I mean, didn't SF also wear the beret? I mean, in combat, there's a lot of times I've seen photos where I don't think they're photo ops. These dudes are actually just wearing the beret, it was no steel pot, anything. Just like, well, shit, if I'm going to get hit in the head,
Can't say.
I don't know why you'd wear a beret in the jungle.
No.
It's green.
It seems terrible. It is green.
Boonie hat.
Man, it's made of wool.
Yeah.
Ball cap, boonie hat.
I think Marine commandos in the UK still do that. Like they don't wear helmets and stuff. At least a lot of the training. I don't see them.
I get it. You make a lot of those decisions when you're there, and it seems like it makes sense when
It looks
you're there.
cool in photo, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a certain amount of bucket, too.
The photo with black smeared tar on your diagonally across your face.
Yeah.
No.
Yep.
No.
Just like Apocalypse Now. How cool was that scene when the pan goes over and you see the 5th SF group beret on the lieutenant or the captain, whatever he was, as the boat's leaving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sent chills down the spine.
Looks cool.
Chills. Chills.
Who knew we could spend 10 minutes
chills.
talking about a piece of headgear? So you go to this video and you're listening to the Special Mission Unit pitch and everything. So when you walked out of there, you said you got a really hard time.
No, my company commander, company first sergeant, and all support.
Yeah. Okay.
Chris Vanek was my. I think he just left BCO. I was in BCO 175. I think he left the commander's chair and went to S4 or something for a time. But it was everybody thought that this was. They were great. My platoon was great. My company was good, but it was Sergeant Moyer was like, hey, probably not a good idea to come back. Just go away. But so I failed.
Did you?
Yeah. So of course they hired somebody to replace me because they thought I would pass. But
so where did you go when you failed?
I came back. I became a weapons platoon somebody or other.
But not a battalion.
Yeah.
Oh, you still? Oh, so they did let you come back, but not back.
I went right back right away. There was a springtime. I failed, and I went back in the fall.
What was the reason for the recycle? Injury?
No. It's you don't know the reason.
Oh,
time.
Yeah. Time. If you don't VW, you don't know the reason.
It's time. Somewhere in there's time. But the keepers of the keys. Nobody knows what the times. There's people that know. I don't know who they are.
But they either allow you to come back or they just say don't.
Yeah, your exit interview. Scott Miller was my exit interview, and he said, "Yeah, you're good. Come on back."
You picked a hell of a time to go to the second one.
Yep.
When was that?
Good time.
So I did Best Ranger with everybody that he went to the course with.
Oh, dude, my class.
His class was
22.
Like studs.
oh yeah
Ridiculous.
beyond.
Right? 22 graduates. From A to Z, right? The end product, I think we had 22. 20% were Best Ranger competitors, but even like 4 or 5 of them were Best Ranger winners.
Yeah.
Like,
Holy smokes.
Stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you think I had it going on? No. I'm like, I'm humbled every time. I'm watching I'm watching him jump up the dirty name, and he's never touching anything. He's just leaping. I'm like, I can't do that.
Those guys aren't human. The guys that do well at Best Ranger, not human.
It's amazing, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I've always all those guys, perennial winner. That definition is actually incorrect, but numerous winner, multiple winner, whatever you want to call him. He's won more than once.
I mean, there are a number of reasons why I never went to a selection, but one of the reasons is because I thought you are beyond human.
Not everybody that goes to selection, but people that I talked about it off camera yesterday. When I arrived, I talked about it last night. When I arrived at OTC, I walked in the door and I saw one of my instructors, Pat, and I was like, all right, there it is. I don't know that I can ever be that. That is what I physically.
Yeah.
That's
what I'm talking about.
The definition of what I had in my head. And, I did not fit that description. 160 pounds soaking wet, and there's some amazing people.
There's a lot of dudes like that though.
Yeah, there is. And I didn't
more
know
than you
that.
think,
I didn't know that. And that is the misconception, right? The misconception is
Well, especially I'm
autonomous,
talking.
right?
Yeah, you think that G.I. Joe.
I'm talking in the early days too.
Oh, I imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. Where after the whole fiasco of the helicopters crashing and everything else, there was a bit of a negative, connotation or whatever, but then they started realizing, no, it wasn't necessarily them. It was just bad planning, and on the part of not communicating to the other services of what we're trying to do here. So they didn't understand it. Got it. After that though, it was still painted that, hey, no matter what, these dudes they're gods. So, and that's,
We talked a little bit about this. The things that were done early in any military.
Just dudes.
Yeah, they are. But I remember a Sante Raider. We do these leadership portions. You remember that? When they Santes came and talked to us?
No.
Okay. So they came and we had a nice meeting with them, and they explained the mission and everything to us. And I remember one of the guys, we took him down, showed him some kit later, and I remember one of the guys going, "It's amazing what you guys do." And I'm like, I do it with this. It's amazing that you maybe had a Starlight scope and you flew into Vietnam and did things that nobody had ever done, and I think World War II, World War I.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Ranger Rendezvous, you're hanging out with the guys from the 53rd, 07th Composite Group, working in the China-Burma theater.
Yeah.
And they're like, you guys are amazing. And we're like,
no.
I'm humbled to be in your presence that you survived fighting the Japanese every day for 2 years. No, it's us, but it's a funny thing, right? And it's a funny thing.
well, the thing that actually kicked off, maybe not the thing that kicked off, but I mean, you think of MACSOC V and all, you talk about those guys and what they were doing, and many of them never even went through. There was no Q course. There was no SFAS. There was hey, we're going to assign you to this unit. This is going to be a mission. We just want to let you know. We'll find out. Are you good with that? Because you're going to sign this piece of paper here and, basically say whatever we tell you to do. We didn't tell you to do that.
And that's what happens when you have unconstrained planning and ability to do whatever you need to do to accomplish a mission. And I think that is the cornerstone or keystone of everything. The ability to think unconstrained and make it happen. And that's where I think it really started.
Yeah, I think Mr. Beckwith would probably say that. So
VSOG, I had it wrong. I'm sorry. The acronym's wrong.
MACV-SOG,
Yeah.
Studies and Observations Group. So when you go back to what you said about the crash, about Desert One, planning, but what a great moment really in time where JSOC gets developed because of this.
Yeah.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's almost like, and you think before that, like MACV-SOG, probably even laid some foundation as well. And
Sure.
You're a big history guy. I'm sure you could probably even point back to, like you said, World War II. And, stuff the French Revolution was doing, you know, in support of.
Go back to Ranger history.
Darby.
King Philip's War. Go back further.
Yeah.
You know, it's Rogers Rangers. It's you go on and on. You know, yeah, sure.
All that foundation, and then they start realizing, okay, well, there are capabilities that we have within the military that we should take advantage of. And I think the beauty of, you know, JSOC is that the unification of branches, of MOSs, and the blend, and just finding the best people that can perform the mission. Whereas if you're in, you know, there's very much a siloed mentality. Maybe if you're in a specific unit, you're in a battalion, it's a very siloed perspective. Whereas I think JSOC opened up.
And it serves that unit or the Army for it to be that way.
Does,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
It has to be that way.
Yeah.
For their mission set, maybe. Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
If you think about like a bigger unit like 82nd or First ID, like the amount of manpower and firepower you have to bring to bear, like you have to be extremely focused to get that many people and that many resources to do one thing, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know, but if you have to be flexible, then you know those constraints don't help. I don't know. I mean, it's the difference between conventional and unconventional warfare. It's guerrillas versus a conventional army.
When you went
That's
through,
the difference, right?
yeah.
I don't know.
When you went through selection, though, you said you kind of came full circle. Did it help you? Cheat, you know, a little bit. Oh, yeah, I know where I'm at. And, yeah.
Oh no, absolutely not. No, no. There was just one event. I'm like, oh, well, when I got there. So all right, I'll go backwards. So I'm in 19th group, and I'm hanging out with Sinclair, who was an older gentleman. He's the one Sante, and he said, "You want to go shoot at the range?" I said, "Yeah, I do. I'd love to." And he said, "You have your personal weapon?" I said, "I do." And he said, "You have ammunition?" I said, "Not enough." He said, You have hard currency? Come, I got ammo. Come on." So we go down there. We start driving down the road, the range road, on the airfield. And he says, "You see those buildings over there?" I said, "I do." He said, "What's your clearance?" I said, "I don't have one." He goes, "All right, never mind." That was when I was told I had to fly here, and I was like, "Oh, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?" That's really cool. That's kind of cool, yeah. So, yeah, it was, yeah, and only a couple of pieces of roads or trails, or maybe that I've seen before, but absolutely nothing else. Yeah. So,
Of the 22 guys that you ended up serving with, how many of those ended up sticking with you? Is that in that pocket?
2 guys got fired right away.
What? Wow.
Yeah, one just because he couldn't do it. He just couldn't do it. You know, and
Even after going through.
oh yeah, one guy got overwhelmed by events. He was a safety issue. He got removed and had to go somewhere else. Another guy got fired right away. So, and that it's they'll tell you if they're smart, right? And most of them are. You're standing there, feeling pretty good about yourself. You're ready to go across the hallway, and Sergeant Major comes down and says, 20% of you will self-select, right? You'll fail. Some of you will be overwhelmed. Some of you will have a drinking problem. Some of you will have this, whatever. Somebody's going to have an AD, whatever. It went on and on, and right away, it was happening. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty insightful. They know their business. They've done this. They've seen this movie before, right? What biblically, nothing new under the sun.
Yeah,
right? It happened before. It's going to happen again. I'm here to tell you that, whatever the percentages was, but he just threw out all the percentages one after another, bump, 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 and sure, right away, guy's not a good fit. The guy fails. We talked about, did you and I talk about this the other day, about this, a guy who's not a good fit? So if you go back to, and you think about, you said the best people earlier, it's the right people. It's not the best people. It's the right people.
And who determines?
That's a great question.
Is it a scientific algorithm type of thing? Because they've seen that, like you said.
No, it's you. It's you. It's the situation. It's how many variables. It has to grow. You can't possibly know until you do. Here's an example. Guy goes through school. He's a medic at the time. Guy goes through school, comes across the hallway, makes it right. Team room, walks in. And Where this conversation was developed out of my love of hockey, and now we can segue into that in a minute if you want to. But hockey's rough. Hockey's a tough sport. The NHL is asking men not to say the F word because people in the first couple rows in a hockey rink can hear it. I'm like, that's fucking stupid. Last year they were doing that.
Really?
They were asking, yeah. So I tried to get on NHL. I was listening to him talk on Sirius Radio, and I was trying to call in because like, this is ridiculous, because I know what it's like to be part of a group of wolves or sharks into a small team room. This is what you do. You're men. Fuck's sake. So, this guy comes in the team room and says, "Hey, I'm glad to be here. Oh, and by the way, do you show up? Do you show up in wherever you are? If you're not in charge, do you show up and start talking?"
No, I'm usually the silent guy.
Well, you need to gain knowledge.
Yeah.
Be a sponge. Yeah. Shut your mouth.
Well,
write it out. Right.
New.
Especially if you're Fox 6.
Yeah.
Right. He comes in and says, "Hey, I'm glad to be here, and we can talk about anything. Just don't make fun of my wife."
What do you think happened?
Oh, man.
What do you think happened? I just painted a target on my face, and someone shot him in the face with, "That's not what your wife said last night when I was doing her in the butt." And so he didn't last. He wasn't the right person. He couldn't last at all. He couldn't last in that environment. Sure, did he do good things to get there?
Yeah.
Immediately he was gone. I mean, it wasn't immediate.
Yeah.
It was fast. So there's more to it than just carrying heavy weight over undulating terrain for a specific amount of time. There's more to it. There's so much more to it, right? And it's what's the greatest mantra I think that ever came out of that building, as far as I'm concerned, is selection is an ongoing process.
I hear that a lot from you guys too, because
That should be with anything.
But but does it also, in some ways, is it detrimental? In the sense, does it create you're so hard on yourself that even after maybe you're so damn hard on yourself?
I don't
Okay.
think it's detrimental. No.
Okay.
I think it's enhancing.
I understand where you're going with that, and I think it serves a purpose for what it's doing. And I don't, can it be detrimental to somebody after they're done? Absolutely. But it serves a very specific purpose while you're there, and that's we talked about it earlier. That's why it's there. It's there because that's the needs of the Army. That's the needs of the unit. That's the needs of whatever. It serves a purpose there. Whether it's not the unit's responsibility for what happens afterwards. And I hate it's kind of painting with a broad brush, but I'm there for this. When I get out, it's not their responsibility anymore to figure out if selection, I need to be that way when I'm there.
Didn't we talk about this last night a little bit too?
If it's detrimental, afterwards it might be, but I wouldn't want it to change because it needs that for when people are there. 100%.
We talked about a little bit about this yesterday too, right?
Maybe. I don't remember.
So jumping, light years into leaving the service.
Yes, that's what I was talking about. Like, failure is not an option can impact everything you do at that point.
Yeah.
And so when you struggle in something like, relationships, whether it be with the opposite sex or friends or whatever, because it just starts getting challenging, your teammates, your former teammates and everything, that's what I'm talking about. I know I'm getting kind of deep and it sounds kind of weak,
but I think that's on that onus is on the group that gets through that and is on the other side. That's where the community, the tribe, the people that are on the outside, that's where they work that out. And that can happen through transition. Maybe you help people through transition, but I wouldn't ever want to say that this is detrimental later, therefore we need to change it when they need it, because that would hamstring the purpose of it while you're there in that building. And that building needs that. It's a machine. It really is. It doesn't care what happens to you afterwards, and it shouldn't.
Well, I think the whole thing's a machine. And we did talk about this last night. You don't join the Army expecting to take a break. No. I asked that young aviator yesterday. I said, "What's the primary job of the United States military?" And he answered it pretty well, right? Defend the United States people, right? It's the nation, and to me, task force partners across the globe and our interests, right? But it's to kill people and smash things. That's it.
It's war.
That's it. To kill people and smash things. And you stay in a box until it's time to pop out of that box and kill people and smash things. And I joined because I knew somewhere down the line I'm going to have the opportunity to, well, I would think that you're going to have the opportunity. I didn't join for the retirement. I didn't join for
College education.
I didn't join for the free
bonus.
Free bread in the circus. I didn't join for that Roman gladiator Colosseum talk. I didn't join for the free bread in the circus. So it's, to me, it doesn't matter what the machine. Here's a great movie reference. I will grind whatever grist the mill requires for the service.
Whoa, that's heavy. Where did that come from?
Master and commander. That's how I feel, and because when we get down to the whole PTSD thing, which is PTS, or it's the new functioning reality, which my friend Kelly and I talk about a lot, which I think is really important. I think most of it's crap. I do. I think that everybody has PTS to some degree. Car crash, somebody yelled at me, somebody stole my homework, dog bit me, name it. I failed at baseball when I was a kid. My dad slapped me too many times, whatever crybaby stuff. No, put your boots on, buck up your pants, and go. I get, when you go to ACAP briefing, you've been to ACAP.
Yeah.
You've been to ACAP.
Oh, yeah, now it's called Transition Assistance Program, so it's called TAP.
Fine.
Right.
Oh, tap out.
Something like
that makes it worse. Tap out. So ACAP, I'm in that briefing, and one of the lawyers says, don't go full range of motion when they ask you to go, how far can you move? Make sure you tell them you have headaches. Get all the money you deserve.
An attorney is saying that?
Well, I don't know if it was a briefer.
Yeah. Whoa.
I know there was a VA lawyer came in there, but they're telling people, come on, you haven't seen this.
I've not seen this.
I was disgusted.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And how many people were in that room, by the way? I was the only guy in that room with over 20 years.
Yeah.
Everybody else was 4, 6, 8, 5, 3, whatever.
There's definitely an encouragement to game the system. I went through the MEB process with a regular Army, and you got Snuffy from basic training twisted his ankle. He's going to get paid for the rest of his life. You got a female soldier that got yelled at too much. She's going to get paid for the rest of her life for PTSD.
Stop
it. And then you got the guys that are like, missing stuff, and they're in wheelchairs, and they're stuff like that. And
legit.
They're fighting for their claim. And I'm like, this is just leaves a really bad taste in your mouth.
Joel told me, he said, when you go to this thing, you're going to sit next to a guy, you're going to think he's a super stud from Korea. You're going to find out he's not, and he's still here getting stuff for free all the time, and it's going to burn you out. So it's if you look at small villages, constabularies, counties, whatever, that continue to pay their law enforcement officers and first responders this pension, they're going to go bankrupt. Mm-hmm. We're already $30 trillion in debt. We can't. There's no way they can sustain that.
Yeah, I've considered that. Especially now, if like PTSD is claimable, and it's 100%. Such a large percentage,
right?
And you don't have the metrics to gauge like the severity or
nothing,
the veracity.
How do you actually medically diagnose it?
Through like a PCL-5 checklist and an analysis with a mental health professional, and then there's no way to.
And from a psychological perspective, I mean, it's one of the least accurate ways. Psychologists don't like to use self-diagnosis, right? Self-diagnosis reports and research articles based on self-diagnosis. I'm reporting your own self-reporting. That's it's not looked badly upon, but it's not the best way to gather data. And unfortunately, because of PTS the way it is, a lot of it is self-reported. Self-reported information.
And one who goes through the system then tells the next person, and it goes on, and that's where we are today. In some cases, where it's overused, like you're talking about.
I've been told.
Crutch.
I was told that I can't remember which doctor it was. Somebody in the VA, and they're like, "You've been overseas 6 times. You have PTSD." Didn't know who I was, what I'd done. Didn't even know the difference between a regular Army, Ranger, SF. it was ridiculous. Like, I'm like, so you think just because I deployed, don't know where I deployed to, because I deployed, matter of course I have PTSD. Well, what if I deployed to Manaus and I just fucking sat around drinking beers and, you know, talking to Eastern European women?
And we touched on it briefly yesterday.
Can I go on that deployment?
Yes. Come be my wingman.
Boom.
We talked about it yesterday in the sense of the, getting on the competition or the circuit, right? Like a rodeo circuit.
Yeah, the
right?
professional
professional vet.
Professional vet.
I've become a professional vet. This has become my identity. Look, he and I have gone round and round on this in conversation. I do believe in PTS. I do believe it exists. People reach a stress level and it happens.
Yeah, but I know what you're talking about too.
Yeah,
George.
yeah, exactly. So where's that fine line? I don't know. The way that it's currently defined, and I think that's why us talking about it and people talking about it is so important, because there's a clear delineation. How you ferret that out and apply that to the process, I don't know that answer.
So there's the veteran suicide aspect of it, right?
Yeah.
There's the post-traumatic stress, and of course, I think there's a lot of nonprofits that are supporting veteran suicide and attacking post-traumatic stress. But I think, what I love is when I see a mission statement, not necessarily love, that's not the right statement. What's so interesting is when I see a mission statement from a nonprofit that says, we're here to stamp out veteran suicide. It's a bold, big statement.
Yeah.
We're here to stop post-traumatic stress, bold, big statement.
It's almost vapor, because how do you define that?
That's my point.
I mean, I get it, but it's so big. How do you define that? What are you really trying to do?
Veteran suicide. Do we? What's the number? 22. Is that what they say?
20 to 22 depends on what you're.
Do we really believe that? And this is a serious question I'm asking. And I know I'll get MF for this. And I already get an MF because I talked about the lack of PTS, or the PTS is a crutch. But do you really believe it's 22 today?
Yeah, I mean that's what the number says.
That's 8,000 a year.
Yeah,
8,000. Okay, so we do times 5.
Are we talking
well, the VA just did
40,000 people. And do you really think that's true?
The VA just did this. They said 64,000 from like 2000, and it was a 10-year span up to 2017. Yeah,
so
I do.
Well, the reason why I ask.
Yeah, go ahead. George.
I believe it, but I don't know that it's all defined by this one thing.
That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Okay, it could be the COVID numbers to me are false. That's there's no way that they're all real, because flu went away somehow.
Kind of with you. Yeah.
And then so this goes all the way back to the rainforest being destroyed, acres upon acres every day.
Yeah, lots of diseases that are within there that have been stirred around.
But if you did the math back then, when they said certain groups, now I'm
you're talking about the air.
God forgive me, right? Yeah. When I say the 22 group or whatever group that does this veteran suicide thing, but it was the numbers or I don't want to say concocted. I'm telling you, I'm going to MF. I don't care.
Well,
but
go ahead.
The numbers are the numbers. Okay, fine. But if you're a group, you're concerned about your advocacy. You want them to be higher, sort of, or you want them to be known. So the rainforest numbers were never true, because in a couple of years the rainforest would have all been gone. And guess what? It's still there. So I just don't know.
So I don't
know if I believe the numbers.
I'm a data guy. In the sense of, from a business perspective, you look at data. I will tell you, I can take any report and I'll first ask you, what are you trying to convey? And the data will support it. Whatever
you can make it support it. Yeah.
And I'm not going to manipulate the data. No. It's whether I use which I put on the horizontal versus vertical line, and what data points I capture at what data points in time to be able to build the case. And it's all factual. So your points are valid. So those who are listening think, this is all hokey and all screwed up, and these guys are saying it's not true. No, what we're saying is, I'll give you an example. 16 to 18-year-old deaths of vehicular deaths and stuff have risen over the last 5 years twofold. We need to implement driver's license at 18 years of age after mandatory 2 years of whatever and blah, blah, blah. So now let me look at that data. The population of 16 to 18 in the same time frame has grown 2x. the data is flat when I normalize it, but nobody did that.
Check.
Yeah. So the 22 a day statistic is interesting, and I think it's been adjusted to 20 a day. It just depends on who you talk to. What you have to look at to get the true number is the rate of occurrence within the veteran population, and that it doesn't get told because the rate of occurrence is like 0.25% or 0.5% higher than that population that did not serve. Especially like the bulk of the military veteran population is white males, blue collar background, one or no parents that went to college. If you look at that population outside of veterans, that's the highest suicide demographic in the United States anyhow. And then you take the average age, and once you're up above 55 years old, those, blue collar white males have the highest rate of suicide
Across
as
the
well,
board.
across the board, regardless of their service. So
Right.
It is misleading to say, hey, 22 veterans a day are killing themselves, because honestly, and I'm not afraid to say this, a lot of those guys are going to kill themselves anyway. Bottom line. I mean, that's just the bottom line. And that's why it's so tricky when you're like, we got to get it down to zero. Well, that's a good message. It's a great
100%.
optics, but it's never, ever going to be a reality that you never have a veteran suicide unless we recruit from a different pool of people that has the lowest suicide rates in the world. And then we only work on resilience afterwards.
There is a study, and we've brought this up over and over in the podcast.
I appreciate that.
There's actually analytics or a guy who's came out and said, I have a test that not only for military, but it could even be for TSA or whomever. You can use this tool for different functions and stuff depending. But for the veterans, or for military, I should say, it could be given at recruiting offices or at the MEPS to be able to determine whether or not you're already predisposed from either your socioeconomic background or something for a higher occurrence of post-traumatic stress during your service if certain events were to happen. And it's sort of like taking your DNA and saying your DNA has already predisposed you for X type of cancer. Doesn't mean you're going to get it.
Yeah, but maybe don't smoke and dip.
Or maybe you don't grow up in this area where there's a higher probability of it as
Is this
well.
a good idea? Is this a good idea?
Is what a good idea?
Trying to predict what people are already putting people
It's
in
scary.
a box. Already putting someone in a box and saying,
What do you miss?
This is
What's
like-
the
it's like-
intangible
it's like
that you
pre-crime.
miss?
It's like
Because
pre-crime.
Yeah.
We know you're going to
Very much.
Minority Report.
Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and lock you in jail right now.
No. Yeah. No.
You can't serve here
Well, I think-
because you're predisposition to what could that person bring
Yeah.
Yeah.
to bear that could make
this
the
never happens.
change?
I hope that doesn't happen.
Well, yeah, you think about how many people that had like a checkered past before the military, and then end up being amazing. And
Yes.
part of the hardships and tribulations they went through is what makes them good at what they had to do.
Yes.
So you do miss that. But I think what it's useful for is if you can, let's say you got a guy, he was raised in the foster care system, he has no familial support because both his parents are in jail or dead. No siblings, no aunts, no uncles. It's just him. And he went through this hard time, and maybe there's some other traumas that he went through, whether it's, abuse, neglect, whatever. And he joins the military. He may do amazing things, but you've identified that person may need more support on the other side. And you may be able to guide that young person to those tools and teach him how to use them and show him the value of that. And then he doesn't end up getting out and realizing, oh shit, I'm all alone, Lone Ranger by myself. And then he kills himself because he has nobody to turn to because he's isolated or he's not talking to his buddies and stuff like that. So I think I think it could be useful, but I agree with you, Dutch. I don't think it's when you bar people from entry into service that don't have clearly defined, psychological issues that would prevent you from service anyway. Then I don't think that serves us well.
Yeah, it'll be a bummer if that ever happens.
Yeah.
Is it happening now?
No.
Are you saying it's happening?
No,
It's
just a
no.
it's
What
a
I
tool.
was talking about?
It's just a tool. That's
Yeah,
out there.
and actually, there is a tool that they're trying to sell the military to adapt to see if an individual could potentially. Yeah,
I am not a fan of tools being tested on our we talked about this earlier. It's a war machine. Tested in society. Don't. The war machine has a purpose.
for millions of years.
You want to open up that box? how many social experiments are going on right now in the United States military, and the only thing it's supposed to do is defend the people of the United States, its partners, its interests across the globe.
I agree.
Stop it. This whole women in infantry, women in combat arms. So it was years ago. I was with Bob Owen, and we're in Colorado because we're there to honor the anniversary of Aaron Greider's death. And he says, "Okay." He goes, "Oh, you're Dutch. You're fired up about this. How come you disagree with women in combat roles?" And I said, "I don't necessarily not agree with women in combat roles, but I'll tell you why I have an issue with social experiments in the Army." I said, as a private company, the New England Patriots are probably one of the greatest football teams of all time in the last 10 years. They certainly are.
Sure.
Right? We can all agree. Do they pick women for their team? How come? How come they don't? Because they pick the best people to get the job done in National Football League. So why don't we get the best people to get the job done, never lower the standards, because we're fighting for the people of America, right? This is the only thing we have to do. It's amazing to me. Stop with the social experiments. Stop with the transgender stuff. Stop with all this crap. Be a soldier, a sailor, a Marine, or an airman, or a Coast Guardsman, and that's it.
I'll go backwards then if you're going to go down that path. 18 X-ray.
I think it's a bad idea.
Okay.
I hated the X-ray program.
Because if you're going to tell me that 18 X-ray, because they did, right? They had to reach the volume and get the numbers up. So in order to do that, they created the 18 X-ray program where people can come off the streets. We remember a time frame where you had to be at least an E4 with 2 years of service before you could go off SFS. Yeah. I still think it should be that way.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden you go through a hard time. You go through CSOT. Was it CSOT? What's the pre-course called? SOT-C. SOT-C or something.
Something like that.
Geez, I don't know.
There's a
That was the
pre-course.
18X pre-course, right?
Yeah. It's 18X pre-course, and then you sit in a pool, and then you go to McCall for SFS, and then you go to Q. So you've done nothing in the United States Army, and then all of a sudden when you're finished, you're supposed to be on the cutting edge of special operations.
Yeah.
Stop that. That's the Navy Special Warfare. That's the problem with Navy SEALs. Honestly, I'm getting MF right now. Oh, he hates Navy SEALs. No, he doesn't.
Yeah.
I love Navy SEAls. I lost some good dudes. Tommy Valentine was a fantastic guy. Kyle DeFore will tell you. He and I sat and talked about it. Talked about Tommy. But the way that it's just a pipeline. It's a pipeline. Go through BUDS, go through Hell Week, and all of a sudden you're badass with a big budget. That's not.
So
does that make it right?
If we're going down this path, because somebody brought up a point. So I just did a podcast with the Warrior Training Center and the pre-RASP program that they have there, or not RASP. I'm sorry, the Ranger Training Assessment course. And somebody on the post that I had created about this episode that I did, which they have an excellent program, 82% graduation rate, all this kind of stuff, and really get people through. 82% meaning people who go on to Ranger School after attending this end up graduating. They have a higher percentage of graduating, at least finishing week one. So I put this post out there about this episode, and somebody makes a comment. And this is where it's interesting. You should be willing to listen to other people's opinions and the other side of the fence, because it should make you think. And he goes, why has the military adopted all of these pre-courses and pre-courses before they get to what was supposed to be just the assessment in the first place?
That's a great question.
And I thought that's a great question.
It's a great question.
And why are we? Because, and I comment, I'm sorry, Paul, I commented back and said, somewhere along the line, commanders failed in sending the wrong individuals to the assessment course by not conditioning and vetting to make sure they're sending the right people, charging the Army or military for whatever it is, whatever branch, charging the military for the cost of them going there and then having to send them back. And instead of reprimanding that commander or senior NCOs for not preparing that individual to get there, let's create a pre-course so that we can increase the percentage. I'm sorry. Now,
yeah. See, but I think the problem with that is that that's happening for sure. they're sending unqualified candidates to all kinds of schools and selections. But I think when it comes to women in the military or women in combat arms or women go to Ranger school or any of these groups, the prerogative has to be, is this making the military better?
Thank you.
And if it's that you can't answer that question, then you probably don't need to do it. So if it's going to make the unit better and more effective at what it's supposed to do, then you do it.
Thank you.
If it doesn't, then you don't. And so with the pre-courses, we've been at work for 20 years. We need to graduate at greater than a 50% rate from Ranger school. I'm making this up. I don't know if that's the case, but I would imagine that's desirous because we need more people in leadership roles. Like when women go into Ranger school, do I care about that? Not at all. Not a question in my mind. It's a fantastic small unit tactics leader course. I think we're sending women to combat zones. They're in charge of small units. They're going to need to know these basic things. Could they learn it somewhere else? Sure. But why shouldn't these people who are leaders in the military be afforded the same opportunity to get excellent small unit tactics so that they can keep people alive and so they can survive as well and execute their mission? So that to me makes sense. And the pre-courses make sense because we're dealing with a different population. You know, I mean, my generation is probably the last generation that grew up, you know, get on your bike, go play until the streetlights came on. Bone density is different. You know, metabolism is different. Diet is different. And these kids are breaking. That's what the people tell us.
That's a great point. I just finished training with some 10th Mountain guys. They did a great job. And two of them were excellent standouts. They both were former drill sergeants. And they said that the 12-mile road march, kids are breaking all the time because they have the bone density of a 53-year-old woman.
Holy shit.
That was a quote.
There were some statistics that came out of, and I don't have them handy
terrifying.
or whatever, out of SOCOM. I think there was the same way. That said the same thing about just the general population of what they're hiring. So I made that argument
when we interviewed Ranger Regiment.
Right. So when
they said the same thing.
They did. That's
why they're doing pre-RAS.
When I said that about the pre-Rangers or pre-courses and all this kind of stuff, I'm trying to play the devil's advocate against those.
Sure.
So we got to listen to all sides of this fence. But you're right. If we have a smaller population that's interested in going to the military, and then of that, a smaller one that's interested in going in the soft community, and of that, the demographic or the makeup of the individuals from a physical standpoint of being able to have the physical capabilities, then it is kind of a preconditioning. And it may make sense in these times.
Well, I also think, I remember going to RIP and losing good dudes to injuries just because we weren't training smart or we weren't prepared or whatever. And not saying that that's, you know, battalion's fault. It's not. But the way they do it now, I didn't like it when they changed to RASP. And I wasn't.
What's the difference between Ranger indoctrination and Ranger assessment?
It's more training and less. Well, it's less of a beatdown. Like you have to survive RIP. You just got to survive, and you lose good people to injuries, and that's just bad luck. So your end product is diminished for luck that you can eliminate, for a random variable that you can eliminate with a little bit of with 2 extra weeks of PT and conditioning and education. So if you can do that,
then you're countering me on the pre-RASP. Now, first it was, you wanted to agree with the RASP, or I mean the pre, but now you're saying no. But if we do that, then we're not selecting the right people. It should be hard.
I'm saying we are selecting the right people. We're selecting more of the right people. Those guys, that 10, 15% that you lose to injuries, that's just bad luck. Those guys were going to pass.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
You give them a little bit more conditioning, teach them how to take care of themselves in this austere environment, and now you've got those good candidates. And they're going to serve the military longer.
But this should be a beatdown.
I agree.
Because we need to weed out the people who really don't want to be here.
Yeah. Well, not just don't want to be here, but can't hack the stress.
Can't hack it.
Like people are going to try and kill you.
Ring the bell.
Yeah. And if you can't handle that.
To your point, too, about the numbers, is it an OER game?
It always is, right? Isn't there? Oh, there's always an objective there somewhere. I mean, we used to joke about being in, and a new commander, a new general comes in to be the department of the DOD leader or whatever, the Department of the Army leader. All of a sudden, uniforms change. Why do we need a new damn uniform? I mean, our uniform's perfectly fine that we've got right now. Yeah, everybody wants to put the rubber stamp. They want to leave a mark. They want to.
This is my legacy. But the numbers, is it a good idea to force more numbers into these selections? Or is it best to allow the best people to come to the top.
Shouldn't that second part still play in with the first part? I mean, are you saying that we're still not going to get the best qualified, even if we increase the volume? I mean, we should.
I think the numbers are I think I spoke to an SAS guy a long time ago, and he said the numbers are the numbers. You're not going to get any more. The right people are only going to be a small percentage, no matter what you do.
How many times, though, have you heard even guys who, were in group and they went through SFAS, they went through Q with guys who should never have been passed on? I mean, every time I talk to someone, they're like, oh, dude, man, I can name all 3 guys right now.
Well,
and some of them got weeded out when they got to the group because now the Army passed it on. What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, you're always going to have people slip through the cracks. What generation were those guys from? Because
they were probably before 18X. But no, I think it probably happens
but
even
I'm saying
now.
what generation were they looking at? Because if you're looking at like during the surge, in the
that's the
2000s, yeah, we put too many guys through. I remember I was in charge of the guys that came through RIP, and they passed guys that they shouldn't have passed. They were borderline, and those guys fucking sucked. I hope they're listening.
I was going to say,
I hope they know they sucked.
Did they pan out though?
No.
Okay.
No, a couple of them, maybe one guy out of 10 that shouldn't have been there panned out. I mean, the rest of them were fine. They went through, they met the gates, they did what you're supposed to do in any other RIP class. But then we'd get these guys, and we're like, how did you get through this? And we'd hear the stories, from their peers that went through with them, and they're like, they were on the edge, they got through.
I think the focus is wrong. You're trying to increase numbers within a system that has finite numbers. The real answer is recruiting should be the focus. Getting people into the military is if you have this pool that dwindles, right? Recruiting numbers are always an issue. I would assume you were a recruiter
every year.
How do you have this dwindling population that wants to serve their country, and yet you grow the people that are at the elite? That doesn't make sense.
Oh, that's excellent.
Those work against each other. So something is changing, right? It's not that you're allowing more people to do something because you need those numbers to grow, but you're not supporting the base of the whole thing, which is getting more people in the military. And that is, if you really want to look at what an issue could be, it's the amount of people in this country that actually feel that they should go do something greater than themselves. And there's nothing wrong with not doing it. But
no.
There's a select group of population of people that we need a certain amount to sustain ourselves. You can't do that by just putting in pre-programs and doing this and increasing these numbers. That's false information, because if you're not building it here, we're not getting any better.
When we drew down the force in the 90s, early 90s after Desert Storm, that's what changed a lot of things too, because we set up programs to where we paid them out so they could leave the military and stuff. And so it kind of set up that mentality of, oh, hell, maybe I don't want to stay around here. Let me go ahead and take the big check and get me a new truck, and get out and such. And so they kind of popped smoke and everything. And then the forces went down, but the numbers increased to your point. And then not only that, but the front end, it was already challenging even in that time frame. Because I recruited in the late 80s, so I recruited before Desert Storm. It was hard then. Mm-hmm. After Desert Storm, with the smaller force, even still trying to get, you would think, oh, okay, then I can easily find that number. Hell no.
No.
It was even harder.
Do you know if USAREC is still working with JSOC type forces, whether they're Marine Raiders or Rangers, to go to high schools and local communities and talk to them about what it's like to be?
I don't know if USAREC's working with them, but I do know like 75th Ranger Regiment just sent out a team to go down. I think it was Miami or Fort Lauderdale or something like that. And they had a trailer and they did a whole leads, they kept capture the leads. They probably give it to, I'm assuming, to USAREC to give them, try to feed them into the pipeline, to possibly be option 40. I don't know if they're actively going out there and doing it. They do have segments like, the Golden Knights, as an example, is now an area of USAREC. The EA Sports, gamers and everything. There's a whole damn team of individuals. Yeah, there's a whole.
Have you heard of this?
Say what?
There's
Xboxers.
an esports.
There is a whole
I'm
team.
going to get mad probably. I'll probably.
You should.
There's like a company of individuals. Maybe they're only a platoon. I don't know. But there's a large element of individuals who are getting paid to go and play Xbox, Call of Duty around the country.
with the U.S. Army badge on it saying USAREC.
There was one that just left there that is wearing a green beret. He left, he left group and stuff. They found out that he was a previous gamer before he came on active duty.
Very exciting.
He came over and he did that, and he's like, I got to get back to group, and he's now going back to group.
No, it's very exciting. When I say very exciting, I mean not very exciting. So the reason why I asked you, right, is because I know that 175 worked with USAREC, and I know that NCOs and junior NCOs went to different schools around. They asked us to go on a circuit. I did.
I used to love those things, man. I'd have patches coming in.
The thing that they had no idea that you existed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'm talking to people every day, to young students, talking about the military occupational specialties and going on and on and on. We did it for a week, all right here in Georgia. Mm-hmm. And I can't tell you how many people are like, I didn't even know men like you existed. You know, you're in your dress greens, you're in your Cochranes, your beret, and you're talking to them. We did like 4 talks a day, 3 or 4 talks a day. It became exhausting, but it opened my eyes to what you just said about I think we need to get people, right, not gamers, get people back to the people. Talk again. To me, it always goes back to leadership. The banner of leadership is so large to me, and all these little banners are underneath it. But leadership banner is so large that to me, this has to be done. You have to get people. Yeah, it's it goes back to like people text you. Get on the phone. Get on the phone and call me. Yeah. I have something to talk to you about. Texting is to me my phone's on do not disturb for text. If you want to talk to me, call me. Otherwise, forget it. But we need to get people down to what Kelly talked about. This building the bottom, and I'm working with Mickey Pittman. We're going to work on a thing about building men again, building men together. We need places where we can build that framework that you talked about, Kel. The base. Don't apologize for being a man. Let's talk about being a man, a good man. And God bless, man. I would love to get back into those schools. Put your green berets, put your dress greens on, or your pinks and greens. And talk about the things that can make you successful. Why the Army's a good place to start for anybody.
Yeah, it's not what
John Kerry said. Whether you must be stupid you must be dumb to get in the Army.
Yeah, and there is that stigma.
Four of us on this table are not stupid.
Yeah,
at least 3.
All right, you got me.
No, but I mean, I think the way they're going about doing it now is any way they can with the trolling motor to make sure that they can cast a net to catch that number because they're fighting that number.
Yeah, it's a dwindling resource.
And it is. And then you've got the political climate that does make it hard to probably go into the schools and do those types of things that we used to be able to do in the past. And so God bless the recruiters that are out there that are trying to get this stuff done. And then you've got a kid that walks in the door and goes, I want an option 40 contract.
Boom.
And well, the problem is you don't get as many option 40 opportunities out there.
Option 40 is Ranger?
Yeah.
Ranger contract.
So what they're trying to do now is Ranger Regiment's like, okay, we can only offer so many, but we also know that there's an attrition here that's going to happen and everything. So what we're going to do is we're going to put recruiting teams from Regiment at these specific basic training OSIT, AIT centers so that we can at least talk with them about it. And we've also found that we don't want them after airborne school, like when you went through. We want them before airborne school to see if they're even going to make it. Then we'll send them to airborne school. And so they flipped everything around, and they're like, well, now you don't have to have a Ranger contract coming in the door. If you go to Fort Benning, Fort Lewis, Huachuca, you go in one of those installations, more than likely you're going to get that briefing like you did with SMU. They're going to walk in the door and they're going to go, hey, there's a briefing at 0530 if you want to go down there.
No, it's part of the pipeline.
It's part of the pipeline.
You graduate from a relevant MOS, part of your briefing at the end.
And they'll change your contract right there.
Brief.
Right then, you want to go to Regiment? All right, here you go. We're going to change your contract right now. Right, that's your PT's got to be high enough, yeah.
Turds.
So they're at least trying to make an effort, Regiment is, but realizing that, we may not have it in the front end through USAREC, and we may not have that. We also know, though, if we pick them, we can cherry pick them within the basic training based on their physical training scores and stuff. and then we'll put them through a pre-RASP, and we'll really weed them down again to see, all right, are we passing on the best into RASP? And then if you make it into RASP, okay, now you go to airborne school. Go to airborne school, you're going to come in, and now you're going through the cycle, and then you go to Ranger school after that and everything. So they're trying to get it in the right way because they know the talent that's coming in or the numbers are so small that they're going to have to get engaged to cherry pick and not allow just option 40 to be the opportunity in the very beginning.
See, I wonder why can't we X-ray program? So you go straight from AIT. Boom. You go to airborne too, I guess.
You do. You go airborne first, then you go to pre-SFAS.
Yep. The pre-SOT.
What you talk to.
SOT-C, and then they go to all the things. Okay, but if they fail, they go to a pool. You're back to a pool again, and you have nowhere to go because you had nowhere to come from. Shouldn't we?
Oh, like needs of the Army then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they sit there. They have a high suicide rate. Yeah. They have alcoholism. Because there's really nothing for them to do. But why can't if you're in first ID and you want a Ranger school slot, you get one. You go to Ranger school, you recycle, or you quit, right? And you go back. Guess what? You go back to your unit.
Yeah.
Can't we do the same thing with these either Rangers? Can't we make the option 40 contract? You're gonna go through. You're gonna go through basic AIT, airborne,
and then go to a unit.
With the guarantee that yes, you'll go to Ranger school, you'll go to pre-Ranger, or you'll go to RASP. But if you fail, you have a place to go back to.
Or maybe it's you go to Ranger school. You're guaranteed to go to Ranger school, which is very different.
A lot of guys are going first.
And then you're an import.
RASP, then Ranger school.
That goes to the whole import.
It's weird.
That's not right.
But
you're saying what now?
A lot of guys go to Ranger school right after RASP. I think didn't
that you're
didn't
right.
the boys
They
down
did
in Bennett say
that.
that there's some guys that are going before
PFC or whatever. If they seem like they're pretty sharp and they're physical specimens, yeah, they pretty much send them right there. So
they let lieutenants go.
You know what? I was talking about the Warrior Training Center.
During their summer break.
Yeah. So National Guard, you'll love this. You probably haven't heard it. The Warrior Training Center that I was talking about for the pre-Ranger. You can go into the National Guard now, 11 Bravo. OSIT, get done with that. Airborne School, boom, done. You go over to Warrior Training Center, and they send you to the pre-Ranger. Go to Ranger School. Come over, send you to Pathfinder, Air Assault. You go back as a PFC. You got all the trinkets.
Wrong answer.
No,
that's what they're
wrong
doing.
answer.
And that's
stupid. That's completely eradicating that base that you need. You're just
Regiment doesn't need. They don't need college grads. They don't need air assaulters. They need people that they can groom for the mission set that they have emerging or existing.
I agree with
any
that.
unit should do that. Yes.
Great point. Yes, and I understand why it's happening, but I think it's the wrong focus. I think, and not just because I like the old way, but I think there is inherent value in somebody growing up.
Well,
that's it. That's exactly it.
In our generation, though, we had to earn it.
Yeah.
Again, it goes back to SFAS and stuff. You had to have 2 years in.
Yes.
Have some skin in the game for the unit that you're with.
Have an NCOER.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Show yourself some potential if you're going to join one of the premier special operations units. For the love of Pete.
I did Ranger. I did Best Ranger. When I came back from that, my reward was SEER School, and I was overjoyed with it. Yeah. To go for 2 weeks and suffer in November with a bunch of SF people, like that's the way it should be.
I loved SEER School.
And that's. You earn those things.
CRC was one of the best schools I've ever attended, period.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and you heard earlier where Paul was talking about that's what he wanted to do. And he had proved to him, he had proven himself.
I'm going to give up leave to go be a POW. Like, I don't know. I'm like, come on, guys.
It's just like society. Do lottery winners become sustained millionaires?
No.
That's a good analogy.
Statistically proven, yeah.
Wow. And why is that? Because they didn't earn it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Do people who are given things value what they're given? Absolutely.
Let's look at the success of the continent of Africa. Mm-hmm. All countries give it money all the time. Its success is limited at best. Period.
Yeah. So I don't think people that get that opportunity right out of the bag, it may seem like they value it, but how can you really value it if you haven't spent any time building any of these
welfare
things?
doesn't work.
But you're a product though of going straight. So you're what I hear is that you wanted to go into the Army after serving with the National Guard and go Ranger. That's what you wanted to do. What if they'd have told you when you walked in the door, all right, no, what we're going to do is we're going to give you a contract that says you can go back over to your armor unit, and if it pans out and stuff and you do well and you make E5, you know, that is now you're guaranteed your contract will kick in. You'll get a chance to go to RASP or, you know, a RIP or whatever that time frame. It was it ROPE? Was it just officers?
RIP.
Just, so it was RIP.
RIP was enlisted and ROPE was for
Officers.
commissioned officers.
Yeah. So you get a chance to go to RIP at that time frame, and hey, if you make that, you go to Ranger School, you get a part of the unit.
Well, you can speculate all you like, but we didn't do it that time. So it didn't.
But you want it now, though. You're saying it'd be better
No,
now.
no, I'm just saying, is it a better idea?
Why don't we test it? I don't disagree with you. I guess I'm trying to say, though, if I threw it on you, how would you feel about it? And you're saying, well, that was a different period.
No, if you,
I can be honest, I'd be a hypocrite. I would have taken the opportunity, but does that mean it was right because I wanted to do it? No, I have that perspective now looking at it going, oh.
I think
But I would have been a hypocrite. I would, if you would have given me the opportunity to go to Ranger School right out of RIP. I mean, I was pretty exhausted from that pipeline.
I wouldn't have gone. No way.
I probably, I
RIP
would have
almost killed me.
I would have just kept saying, yeah. I mean, that is. We talked about this yesterday. I didn't plan anything. So for me as a person, I probably stupidly would. Yeah, okay. You want to send me to aerosol? Yeah, okay. Like that's how I got to wherever I got my entire career. Yeah, no premeditation. Just yep. Send me. So I would probably be a hypocrite, but now in perspective, I don't think it's the right thing.
yeah, whatever.
But, you know, they say hindsight's 20/20. Age, maturity, you know, wisdom, which comes from making mistakes, you know, learning not to do that again, allows us to have, I think, somewhat of a perspective of how we think it probably should be done outside of the vacuum of maybe an OER, opportunity or putting my rubber stamp on it. What is best for the military? What is the right decision that we should look at? Let's run a couple of tests of different scenarios to see what would be the right output to get the best product at the end of the day. Because to your point, that's what it should be about.
Should be.
I think it already exists. Look at the unit. You want a framework for the way that things should be done to get the best people?
Why haven't the other?
They already got it.
Why haven't the other soft community adopted
Well,
that?
that's why we switched to RASP.
Because it's hard.
We switched to RASP because
It's not
better
easy.
selection process.
It's not. Yeah.
And it was modeled after other units.
Yeah.
We're like, all right, how do we get the best people for our mission? And that's why I try not to be like real critical of RASP, because the mission's changed, just like the uniforms. I mean, they're doing things that I would never have done, that I don't think are good ideas. But why would I know? I'm not in theater anymore. I'm not getting the briefs. They're not losing guys. So, you know, outside looking in, I don't know.
And you see this. I mean, you see the changes in the military with all the training you do.
Yeah.
I mean,
So let's talk about that. What is it that you do today?
So, after a bunch of years and doing a bunch of cool stuff, I've had 4 back surgeries, by the way,
Oh my God.
and I've had cancer. I broke my neck. So I had some challenges along the way. And then I decided that, I was never going to carry a rifle anymore. Because like
Well, I didn't ask you. Did you spend 20 years in?
31.
31.
30.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
Shortchange me.
upset you. That is a badge. That's something that you need to wear all the damn time. That's a long time.
31 for pay, 26 real deal.
Still.
26 and change.
Yeah.
So there's a blues artist I dearly love. His name's Joe Bonamassa, the best guitar player you've never heard of, probably. And he has a song called Black Lung Heartache, where he talks about a man who obviously is a miner, and he carries his hammer like it's like an anchor. It's this thing he carries with him all the time. So the rifle was that thing. And I was like, I'm done with this crap, man. So before I left the Army, in 13, and in 12 or so, I got a good piece of advice, and somebody said, hey, you need to set up an LLC. Whatever you want to do after here, you're going to want to have an LLC. So I did that. So I thought I was going to do an off-road. You're laughing. You're laughing.
I am. I'm not laughing at the concept of the
What an
off-road. No. I think it was brilliant. I loved watching you outfit the truck and do that. I was laughing at your video. That's
I don't know which one. I made a couple.
The Dark Knight.
When I'm on the side,
slow roll.
Yeah.
That's funny to me. He did Baja. And,
I was getting ready to say, was that the broke back part? Or
it wasn't a Baja event, but thank you. No, it was an off road event. No, but it wasn't a sanctioned event. It wasn't anything like that. It wasn't a race. I ran it like a race, but it was not a race. So yeah. So what I wanted to do in 2012 was I was gonna drop my hammer and not carry this weight anymore and get away from the Army and rifles and guns and stuff, and I was gonna do this off-road company. So DCM Off-Road is what came out of it. And I partnered with a guy. We had a piece of land. We did hill climbs. We had, we outfitted different trucks. And in that time frame too, I had bought a 2010 Ford Raptor. So the Raptor was about 2 years old now. And I'd sunk about $150K into the Raptor to make it something much more than it came from Dearborn. Mm-hmm. So then we trailered it and took it places, and we went out to California, and we did a Vegas to Vegas 840-mile event loop, and it was fantastic, of course. But what you do in off-road is you break things. You run it hard and you break. So this industry, I love it. I love that industry. But if you want to make $1 million in that industry, you start off with $2 million. Yeah.
Sort of like NASCAR and stuff like that. Yeah,
it was amazing. I loved the experience, but I wasted a lot of money. And I used money. The company didn't make any money. We had a great time. We outfitted a whole bunch of. We outfitted a whole bunch of trucks. We did 2 events, one in Texas, one in California area of Vegas. But the thing is too, if you want to run an off-road company, it's hard to do it from North Carolina. You have to trailer everything to the west where everything is. The High Desert Racing Association is all throughout Texas and New Mexico and Arizona. Anything Baja is out there, obviously in Southern California. So yeah. What else is it? The BITD, the Best in the Desert Racing. That's all throughout Nevada, California, Arizona. So whatever. It was a pipe dream. But I ran that course ran its course. I joined the agency for a while. I was a GRS guy, which is a almost godless and pretty much thankless job.
What is GRS?
The Global Response Staff.
Oh,
you've seen the movie 13 Hours?
Yeah.
That's them.
Yeah.
Okay. And the relationships. Somebody will laugh when they hear this, or somebody will say, well, maybe he's right, maybe he's not. But the relationship that Michael Bay showed in the movie between the GRS protectors and the staff, was it hyperbolic to a degree? Sure. But it was also pretty much right on time. They don't dig you. You're a nug. You're a gorilla. Break glass in case of war. No big deal.
Break glass.
Don't it's not a great relationship between those entities. So, but again, it goes back to leadership. When I first came on board, they were like, they hate us. Okay, how come?
Yeah. What? Yeah.
Why? Let's go make a difference. Let's go talk to them.
Yeah. Did you?
I'm an ideologue. I can fix this. So I thought I established a good relationship, but still, there's still other roadblocks that you couldn't get past. So but again, leadership was the issue. I quit that business.
How long?
About 3 or 4 years.
Oh,
Then I did another bit. Yeah, I came on. I was on for a while. Then I quit. Then they said, "Come back," and I went back. And I went to Beirut, and that was good. That was a pretty good job. But you're an overpaid taxi driver Protector. It's Singleton PSD work. It's and Kelly and I talked about this too. PSD is the worst of the cool guy stories. It's the worst of the cool guy jobs.
Yeah.
It's not fun.
It's a necessity, but you're living somebody else's life.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
Never liked it ever. So anyway, dump that. And now finally, I have a website and I have an Instagram page again and again. This is my third Instagram page because they keep booting me. Last time they booted me, I had 14,500 people. I'm trying to catch up with mentors from military.
I'm trying to keep up with the other guys.
And they booted me.
Why did they do that?
Because I was pretending to be someone else. Put quotes around that, air quotes.
Yeah.
I was not pretending to be someone else. Someone else was pretending to be me, and I would eliminate those entities. And then what they do one morning, they turn the tables around.
Yeah, they reported you.
And they report me.
Yeah.
And there's no serious algorithm for checking, or they don't check. Or if you say, hey, fucko, how about not using my photograph anymore?
Yeah.
You shit for brains.
That's what is nice about it.
And then they report because I was mean.
Yeah, your harassment.
Yeah.
Harassment and bullying.
And then, but what Instagram tells me still is that we were pretending to be someone else. I say we, another young man, who's an 18 X-ray guy.
Yeah.
He and I run the thing, but
So you don't hate them. 18 X-rays.
no, I love 18. There's a lot of good people came out.
I'm just picking on you.
No, seriously, dude. There's a
Open
lot
the
of
window there.
There's a lot of good people that came out of the X-ray program, without a doubt.
Yeah.
We find good people there.
Yeah.
It's just, I wish again that people, if you wanted to be a special forces guy, I'm all about it. Go be a soldier. Learn how to be a soldier, a team leader.
Dutch, I just had to poke it, you know.
Yeah, and then come
It was
back.
a perfect opportunity for me to poke you. Go ahead. Anyway, you started a website with an 18 X-ray, social
Yeah,
media.
Dylan Shorey's his name. He's a dual citizen. He's a smart kid, and he's a
By the way,
hustler.
what is the Instagram page for those who are
It is,
listening?
what is it? It's Dutch Chris Moyer Actual. Yeah, it's Dutch Chris Moyer Actual. And the website is DutchChrisMoyer.com. Weird. I have my own name as a domain name. Yeah, weird. Super weird. Unlike guys like Pat McNamara and Jamie Caldwell have been doing this for years, I've been doing it for months. And
The mission?
no, my mission.
I said, what is your mission?
Yeah, thanks. No, just to give back. You guys, you said it this morning when you said you just want to give back. I often say if I can't fight, I want to train. If I can't train, I want to drink.
Yeah. And sometimes all three.
No. maybe. But that's what I want to do. And I want to keep, I love when recently Mac, Rick Hogg, and myself have trained the SVAB.
Yeah, Rick Hogg.
And Ranger Battalion and 10th Mountain.
Rick's been on.
And we've had a great time, all three of us. And we work well together. And I just want to keep training.
Yeah.
And now I do my own thing. I'm trying to go across the nation. And I will tell you, if people are listening to this, I know that people do listen to this. If you know where you have a well-outfitted range out there somewhere and you want to get 9 of your pals together, that person is free. You know what I mean? That's how I've talked about this before.
That's incredible.
So that one guy, whoever wants to, have me come out to whatever range in Montana, Idaho, Texas, wherever, Arkansas, I don't care where. I travel, and I still like to travel. So I'll go wherever. I just came back from California recently. I did a thing in Oceanside with the academy out there in San Diego.
So this is civilian and law enforcement and whoever really wants your services.
In the beginning, I focused on military and law enforcement only, but now I do open enrollment for civilians as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Again, you had said something about, talking to them about what men is and, really giving mentoring,
Big time, I mentor.
So along with that, you're also trying to prepare them perhaps for this lifestyle?
Big time.
Okay.
I everything, go back to the big banner, leadership. You just talk to the students, you talk to people, and I've already mentored numerous young men who've reached out to me on Instagram and said, hey, can you help me with X? And it's free help, man. Yeah, I'll do it. I'll still do it.
I think that's awesome. We go to the pre-Ranger and we talked about all the pre-stuff, but if you can also create a pipeline, we know we're having shortages in a lot of cases because we spoke to that. But if you can create a pipeline of individuals who are willing on their own dime to go through training as a civilian to learn about what this takes and answer a lot of those questions and maybe push themselves in such a way where they can determine whether or not they have the mental aptitude and physical capability to be able to do this and stuff, and learn from one of the guys who walked that, mile. That's, I'd probably have attended one of those for sure. I think it could really, you're creating a pipeline too of individuals that probably will be successful.
I never thought of it that way for that, but I hope so. I hope we do. Yeah. I want to, I just sat down and made a business plan with Dylan, and I want to do X amount of money and X amount of training, and we're going to have swag and crap. We don't have that yet, but we're going to. One of the things too I'm bringing back is, so my logo is the 48 Star Flag. It's my logo on my car outside. It's the logo on my truck. And I love the 48 Star Flag because not only is it, do I like Alaska and Hawaii? Yes, I do. I love Alaska and Hawaii. But it harkens back to a different time, World War II era,
Again,
obviously,
you're a historian,
where we loved, we loved our country a lot. We liked our people a lot. There was less. There were less issues. There were issues. Sure, we have all throughout time. We have our issues. I get it, but there was a little less issues, and we fought against a common foe. There was a thing to do, and so my T-shirts and my posters are going to have like my ads will be like a World War II poster.
Cool,
and it'll say, I don't know, picture the one with the doughboys, going forward. Yeah. It says attack, 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 and then on the bottom it'll say, join DCM. Evolutionary gunfighter or whatever, but it's going to be a World War II theme, the whole thing. Let's see how long that lasts. It probably won't last that long, but we'll see how it goes.
So if Alaska or Hawaii invites you over to do some training, you're going to put the extra little stars on there?
But I still do contract work too. I worked with the endurance group lately. I was working with the 21st STS out of Blakely, Georgia. They're not... They're out of Bragg, but we were working in Blakely, Georgia at the arena.
Okay.
It's
you're all over the place.
It's great to do that. It's just great to it was funny too. We talked about it last night. I had this great experiment. I'm going out there for 2 weeks, and it'll be weightlifting and the right food and working hard. I worked out once. It was working super hard and drinking. And it's a great time for them to come down and get their own camaraderie. They come down, they get they do this contract with Endurance, and they come down and we got all the guys I know. We work together. Yeah. I was working with Caldwell recently, and Rob Vaughn and Eric Eckhart. And I mean, why not? Right? In 2018, I was working for Tom DiDamaso's company called Deco, and I'm hanging out with my mates and training people to make a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Kind of a no-brainer.
It's not working that hard.
Yeah.
Well, what's the it was Rush Limbaugh who told me that. He said, if you do something you love every day, it's not working. So I try to do that.
Chris Dutch Moyer, thanks for coming on the
Dutch Chris
mentorship. Dutch Chris Moyer. All right.
That fits with the DCM.
What?
That's my company, DCM. So
got Chris you. Moyer. So we want to make sure we do the branding right. So Dutch Chris Moyer. It's an honor. Appreciate you coming
thank you. I'm blessed every day to get up out of bed, but I'm blessed to be able to come here and talk to you guys. It's been awesome.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Kelly, appreciate it as well.
Thanks, very
Kelly.
much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for making this way better than it was just by myself.
Anytime.